Once upon a time, in a very remote village surrounded by farms and forests, there lived a man named Ezedike. Ezedike was famous for his bravery and kindness. He was admired not only for his strength, but also for his compassion, generosity, and fairness. Everyone in the village respected and admired him. They told stories about how great a person he was. Ezedike was tall and dark in complexion. His muscles were thick and showed through his skin, making him look like a warrior from ancient stories. Before he married Ihuoma, all the village maidens wanted to be his wife. They took turns to cook for him, wash his clothes. Each hoped he would marry her. His wife, Ihuoma, was equally beloved for her beauty, grace, and humility. Ezedike and his new wife have just welcomed their first children, a set of twins with so much joy and hope for the future. Life in Umueze community was peaceful, with abundant crops growing in the fertile fields and happy laughter echoing from the roof huts. The men mainly farmed, hunted, and tapped palm wine, while their women took care of their homes and made clothes. All of a sudden, the peace in the community was shattered by a wave of thieves. They broke into homes and farms, stealing from everyone. Crops vanished from fields, animals disappeared, and precious items were taken from houses. Fear gripped the villagers. Ezedike was a man known to always look out for his family and neighbors. He got together with other strong men in the village to protect everyone. They came up with a plan to take turns guarding their homes. Each group stood watch at different corners of the village, keeping an eye out for anything unusual. As days turned into weeks, their efforts paid off. People felt more secure knowing the gods were protecting them. But the thieves weren't ready to give up. One evening, Ezedike was relaxing with his wife and newborn babies. Suddenly, he noticed some strange men walking towards his home from the sides of his compound. The whispering in the nearby bushes made him shiver. These were unfamiliar faces coming through the bush paths. Ezedike sensed trouble immediately. He didn't know who the men were or what their mission was. He quickly jumped up in readiness for whatever might happen. Ezedike signaled Ihuoma to immediately run into their hut to seek safety. Ezedike still had one of the twins as the strange men ran towards him in attack. While still having the baby, he challenged the attackers who had descended on him. They fought fiercely like hungry lions, their movements swift and skilled. As Ezedike defended himself, he saw more men sneaking into the compound from different corners. It was clear they were working together on a calculated mission. At that moment, he knew he couldn't counter them alone. He was also worried they might harm his young family, especially the baby with him. As the struggle intensified, he quickly took to his heels, holding the baby tight as he dashed out of his compound, scampering for safety. He realized that hiding in the hut wasn't safe. The attackers were caught off guard by Ezedike's decision to run away. As the chief warrior of the community, Ezedike was not expected to run away from a problem that visited his home. The warriors came in their numbers to take him to hostage. Ezedike's heart raced as he ran towards the village's forest. This sacred forest was revered by the villagers as it housed the village deity. It was believed that ancient spirits in the forest offered protection to people. It is important to note that strangers cannot enter the inner quarters of this forest. Like an eagle, Ezedike moved swiftly through the village using paths known only to indigenes. His attackers struggled to keep up because they did not know the routes he took. They fell behind as Ezedike reached deeper into the safety of the forest. When he got to the inner part of the forest, he placed the baby carefully by the foot of an iroko tree, covering her with soft leaves for warmth. "Gods of our land, protect your child," he prayed before he then zoomed off. As a warrior, running from a problem was a sign of weakness. So he had to go and complete the fight he had already started. As he got out of the sacred forest, he found the villagers gathered by the market square. His wife, Ihuoma, had gone around the village to inform the men of what had transpired. The able-bodied men in the village all came out, armed in solidarity with their warrior. Even the women trooped out in their numbers to see what was going on. They were clustered in different corners of the market. By this time, Ezedike's men had caught up with the thieves by the village boundary as they were trying to escape. The intruders never expected the villagers to be so coordinated, united, and brave. Ezedike and his men fought hard, and the noise filled the air. There were shouts, metals clashing, and grunts as they fought the enemies. When the attackers started to lose their ground, they panicked and scattered. Some ran into the bushes, crashing through the grasses and vanishing into the distance. Ezedike and his men chased after them without stopping. They chased the intruders through bushes and across old farmlands. The evening echoed with the sounds of their chase until the thieves vanished into the shadows, leaving behind only the echoes of their failed attempts. These intruders were from the neighboring communities. For many years, Umueze had been involved in land disputes with them. These disputes had taken down many men, including Ezedike's father. Later that day, as the sun set with golden colors in the sky, Ezedike's thoughts raced back to the forest and the baby he had left there. He trusted the gods of the forest for protection. Anxious and tired, he hurried back to the iroko tree. On getting there, the area was very quiet and empty. Fear gripped his heart as he searched desperately for any sign of his baby. The child was no longer at the foot of the tree where he had dropped her. He saw footprints and scattered leaves, but nothing to show him where the baby might be. "Who took my child?" he exclaimed in anger. He searched every nook and cranny of the forest, but there was no sign of the baby. With a sad heart, Ezedike went back to his family. He looked into Ihuoma's worried eyes and told her what had happened. Ihuoma sobbed deeply all through the night. He cursed the intruders who destroyed the beautiful moments their family was enjoying earlier in the day, and in fact, the peace that had once reigned in the village. The following morning, Ezedike went to see the community leader to ask for help finding the baby. Igwe Amadi was a respected Igwe known far beyond their village. He listened to Ezedike and promised to help him. Days turned into weeks, then months, and years, and the hope of finding the child became very faint. All this time, Ihoma kept weeping and looking for her child. It was a sad period for the family. Over time, Ezedike and his wife had more children, but his spirits had become weak, filled with sadness and blurry expectations of finding his lost child. One of Ezedike's 3 sons, named Madoka, inherited his father's bravery, kindness, and entrepreneurial spirit. He grew up to become a trader who moved from one community to another doing his trade. Madoka traveled to distant villages to buy farm produce, which he then sold at the Eke market of Umueze community. He was loved by other traders, especially market women who appreciated his friendly nature. Whenever he went on trips, he often helped his neighbors with their purchases too. He was a kind man. During one of his business trips, Madoka met Nelma, a kind-hearted and caring young woman from the neighboring village. Norma had come to help her mother at the market. Madoka was enchanted by Norma's beauty, grace, and strength. Her laughter brightens even the most difficult moments. Her bosom was succulent like early morning palm wine. Madoka could not get his eyes off her. Gradually, they started spending time together, sharing stories and dreams under the shade of the market stalls. Gradually, their friendship grew into a strong and lasting love. Madoka told his parents about the woman he had seen to marry. They were filled with so much joy. Ezedike made plans to visit the chief priest for consultations, but Madoka felt it would bring unnecessary delays. He was in love. He knew Norma well enough to know she would make a great wife. Well, over the next few Eke market days, Ichie Ezedike and his kinsmen went to see Norma's parents for the marriage rites. They brought various items and drinks as their tradition demanded. It was a joyous moment for both families. There was a lot to eat and to drink. After initial rites had been concluded by the elderly men, Norma was ushered in to greet her would-be new family as part of the traditional rites. This is the most important part of the day's event, which symbolizes her acceptance of the marriage proposal. So, when she approached Ezedike's family, Ichie Ezedike suddenly lost grip of the cup of palm wine he was sipping from. Traditionally, this was a bad sign for a marriage ceremony. He didn't like this feeling, and he grew worried that he hadn't consulted the gods before initiating the marriage move. In the middle of their emotional roller coaster and doubt, a tribal mark behind Norma's left ear caught his eye, and this deepened Ezedike's concern. Worried about these observations, Ezedike stepped aside with his aunt to the corner of the hut to have a private talk. Ezewine had raised him after his mother's death. She was the oldest priestess in the Umueze kingdom. A story was told that Ezenwanyi didn't get married after she was chosen by the gods to be a priestess. Ezedike shared his worries and also pointed out the tribal mark on Nnoma's ears. It was the tradition in Ezedike's family to always give a child a tribal mark. So, every child born into the Ezedike family, both the extended family, had tribal marks on them. Could Nnoma be Ezugo's daughter? Ezugo was Ezedike's immediate elder brother, who had been framed and banished alongside his family many years ago. After they were banished, a story was told that Ezugo committed suicide and his wife later died mysteriously. After the community leader found out the truth and decided to reunite Ezugo and his family with the community, they heard the story about how Ezugo and his wife had died. Nobody knew where their only daughter was. Ezenwanyi, the priestess, was revered for her wisdom and high spirituality. Her faith reflected years and years of experience, and her eyes seemed to hold knowledge beyond the ordinary. After a moment of silence, as if listening to whispers from another realm, the priestess spoke. Her voice was calm, yet certain. She unveiled a truth from the past. Nnoma is Ezedike's lost daughter. Ezedike's heart raced as he listened to the priestess. Forgotten memories rushed back, blending with the present. He looked at Nnoma again with fresh eyes this time, noticing similarities between her and himself. As the truth sank in, Ezedike felt a whirlwind of emotions: relief, sadness, and a deep sense of reunion. The priestess' words not only explained Nnoma's disappearance, but also healed Ezedike's wounded heart. Ihuoma, Ezedike's wife, was not left out in this sensation. Now, Ichie Ezedike sat with Nnoma's adoptive parents, their faces showing disbelief and sadness as they heard the truth. They shared how they had hoped for a child for a very long time and finally adopted Nnoma from the village medicine woman after waiting for many years. As the words rose in the air, Nnoma heard the conversation from the doorway. Her heart raced with confusion and sorrow. Realizing her life had been a lie, she ran away in anguish. Her mind filled with questions about who she was and where she belonged. Everything had changed for Nnoma. She walked through familiar places, feeling lost and uncertain about her true identity. Maduka followed Nnoma and discovered her sitting alone by the path of the village stream nearby, with tears streaming down her cheeks like gentle rain on their fields. Gently but firmly, he offered her help to her feet. During the confusion, Nnoma's adoptive mom got more worried about her earlier observation of Nnoma's behavior. She had noticed her pale eyes and frequent throwing up. She was very worried because she had just found out Maduka was Nnoma's twin brother. The revelation about who Nnoma's true parents were made her adoptive mother wonder if Nnoma was carrying Maduka's child. The elders were deeply concerned about the implications of Norma being pregnant for her own twin brother. Alo. The elders gathered under the wide branches of the pear tree beside the hut to consult and have a word with Ezenwanyi about how the gods could be appeased for this very abomination, as they were already convinced Norma was carrying Maduka's child. Ezenwanyi, the priestess, whose voice was gentle like a breeze through the rustling leaves in the hinterland, conducted another round of sacred divinations. The environment was tense as she communed with the ancient spirits. After many rounds of divinations, she assured them that Maduka and Norma's love was ordained by the gods to heal the pain in Ichie Ezedike's heart. The priestess also conveyed that the gods had revealed to her that Norma was not pregnant at all. Ezenwanyi instructed Ichie Ezedike to gather herbs to prepare fever concoctions for Norma. She also summoned the twins to her shrine in the next Eke market day for some serious cleansing. Even though the customs and traditions prevented Maduka and Norma from marrying, their love persisted, now as siblings, twins. Ezedike, his wife, and Norma's adoptive parents accepted their connected fates with grace and humility, thankful for the love that had brought them together again despite the challenges. Moral lessons. This story carries deep moral lessons rooted in tradition, communal values, and the consequences of neglecting cultural norms. The story teaches that customs and traditions often exist for important reasons. In many African cultures, especially in the Igbo community, thorough background checks, also known as ijuase, are done before marriage to prevent incest and soiling the land. Skipping this step shows disregard and can lead to tragic outcomes. This story also hints at the importance of patience and due process. I hope you were entertained as well as enlightened by this story. Please let me know what you learned and what was the highlight of the story for you in the comments section below. And also give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel as it helps us grow. Until next time, bye!